If you have a cluttered kitchen cabinet like this, you can turn it into a custom kitchen cabinet using Ikea drawers to retrofit into any size kitchen and a pull-out pantry that anyone can make. In this video, I'll show you how I made the pantry pull-out and attached it to my cabinet. I'll also show you how to use these Ikea stock drawers in any size kitchen and create a secondary wall to support the drawers. Let's go! I have been dreaming about converting this cupboard into like a pull-out spice cabinet with pull-out drawers, and I'm gonna do it. I'm not the best furniture builder, so it's gonna be like a very, very easy, basic build. So if that's for you, come along, let's do this together. So the idea is that I wanna have a spice cabinet that pulls out. It's more for like these condiments here, so like a condiment cabinet that pulls out, and then 2 drawers here for like Tupperwares. I'm gonna be using this kind of like white wood. This is actually that like laminate that Ikea furniture is made out of, or your cabinets are made out of. And I want to use this instead of plywood because like if I was getting this done through my builder, they would have used like a nice finished wood. They wouldn't have used plywood, right? So we want it to look like it was part of the kitchen. If you don't have a table saw at home, you can also use a circular saw to cut this, or you can take all your measurements to the hardware store and ask them to cut it for you. If you need help figuring out your measurements, I've put it in the description below. I cut all my pieces and then I laid them together just to see how I would actually be assembling this cabinet. Okay, so I'm going to put my screws on this side, but I just want to show you that I'm using a speed square here, just to make sure that everything is super square and level. You could also build it with pocket holes, but I'm not too fussed about seeing a couple of screw holes. There's tons of ways to build furniture. You can use screws, you can use pocket holes, you can use more complicated joint systems. I'm using a nail gun because I want to keep this a really beginner level project, and I think anyone can do this with a nail gun. Next, I attach the back of the cabinet just with nails again. Here's a helpful tip. Use your speed square to draw a line where you want the nail to go to make sure it goes straight in. Otherwise, if you miss a little bit, the nail might come out the other side. So if you have a piece of wood that you've really cut like to like the perfect size and it won't go in, like I think that this is so close. Okay, like this is so close. Don't trim it. Okay. Use a mallet. Next, I'm attaching the sides of the cabinet. This is to make sure that the oils and the condiments don't fall off as I slide it in and out. I added 1 support side to the bottom shelf and 1 to the top. I'm just using scrap wood here, so I just use kind of whatever size I have, but you could make them a little bit taller if you wanted. Now, of course, I made this all from scrap wood. So one thing is that I think this lip should actually be a bit taller, but I actually am out of wood. So I do have this dowel, so I think I might just plop this dowel in here. I don't have enough for both, unfortunately, because that would probably look better, but just pop that in there. And then add the back side, and then we're pretty much ready to install the drawers. I added this cute little dowel detail in. I just cut the dowel to size and then screwed it in from the sides. To attach the dowel straight on, I'm actually using a spacer in between the shelf support and the dowel. This will make sure that it will actually be exactly straight the whole way through. You don't want a crooked dowel. Okay, so these are just things I found around the garage, but I just wanted to like test it out and like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like obviously needs the finishing work, right? Like rounding up the edges and the edge banding, but like, like it works. I'm gonna cut this down into like 7 inches because I need a piece of wood that the rails can adhere to, right? Because on the back side, there's nothing here. So the drawer rails have nothing to actually hang on to at this point right now. These pieces are going to be a bit bigger and wider so that the rails have something substantial to hold on to. I'm super excited because we're at the point of installation. So I brought this inside. I have to empty out this cupboard and then we can hopefully just put the drawer slides on and it fits. watch this. This is how it's gonna work, okay? I mean, just gives you an idea. I think it's pretty neat. Okay. So to install the drawer slides, I am simply following the instructions, but I'll take you through it. So the first thing you want to do is separate both the parts, because one part's going to go attached to the cabinet and the other part's going to attach to our pantry slide out, right? So what you want to do is you got to find this little tab and you just push it up and then pull it up there. Okay, so push it up and then it slides up. Don't want this to be sitting on the ground. There actually has to be, if you ever noticed, your drawers never actually sit on top of the base. There has to be a little bit of a gap. So I'm gonna bring a piece of wood as a spacer and then we'll attach these. You see the spacing here? The slides are actually like thinner. So I need to add like a piece of pine behind one, the one that's gonna go onto the wall. So this actually slides out because I can't, like there's just no way for me to attach this right now because of this hinge. I need to make sure my rail is going to go on straight, so that's why I've used that pine underneath. And then I'm adding my spacer and screwing it right into the base cabinet. And then I added the rail right on top. You want to make sure that it sits far enough back, but you also don't want it to sit too far back, otherwise you won't be able to extend your cabinet out all the way. And I used a drawer slide that's 2 inches less deep than my actual cabinet depth. Next, when you install the top rail, again, you want to make sure that it's level, but also you need to make sure that it's going to actually attach to the cabinet. So just measure and make sure that the height is corresponding. Ta-da, they're both installed. Now I'll move on to installing the rails on the cabinet. I need to attach this side of the drawer slide to this pantry, and I just put it in the slot because I'm gonna mark it like this and then draw the level lines. You could also try and measure, but I think this is a little bit more accurate. I'll have to do the same for both of them. Dry fitting it and having the marks there made it so much easier to attach the rails. So now I just need to make sure that they are level on those marks, and then I screw them in according to the instructions. If you're loving this DIY build, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. It helps me grow, and you can stay in the loop of all my new projects. Here's the moment of truth, making sure that everything fits correctly, and it was actually really hard to get in. Finally, after I got it in, wait. Oh no, it doesn't close. I had this moment of panic where I thought this wasn't gonna fit, but then I got my husband to come help me, and it turned out I just didn't push it in far enough. Yay! Wait. So you're telling me this works? This thing I made works.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool! I doubted myself so much through this process, so to see this come together, oh, that's so cool. Here's the thing about me, I might look really confident, but sometimes I have real doubts of myself. Oh, wow! Yes! So I basically got way too excited to install that because I didn't install my MDF strips first. I'm gonna try to install it now. This one might be an issue, but let's just see how it goes. Oh, so let me show you what this is. So this is like an iron-on edge. So I've got my iron heating up here, and you just put it on top, and then you can iron it on. And then there's a tool like this that you can use for cutting. You can also use just like a regular X-Acto knife, but this just makes it a little bit easier, or so I've heard. It's my first time using it. In all honesty, I should have done this edge banding before I even assembled the cabinet, but I was just too excited to see if it would work. So I'm adding it now, and luckily it fits, but if you do this project, make sure you do the edge banding first. And if you've never used edge banding, it's fantastic. It covers up all the ugly edges of plywood or MDF, and it has an adhesive glue on the back that's activated when you heat it up with an iron. And if your edge banding is a little bit thicker than your actual MDF, just trim it using the edge trimmer. It's actually really cool once you get the hang of using it. Ready to see what this cabinet looks like once it's installed? And after I filled it up with the oil in the jars, it was still really stable and could slide in and out easily. We'll tackle this part of the cupboard and I'm gonna install some drawers. I'm gonna use some pre-made Ikea drawers and show you how you can retrofit them into any size cupboard. I've got my Ikea drawers, so these are actually the drawers I use for the PAX wardrobe, but they're gonna be the perfect size to fit inside my cabinet. So we're gonna assemble them, and they're actually great. Like, they slide really well, so I think they're perfect. Like, I don't need to build my own because the drawer slides cost $20, whereas the whole drawer costs $40 from Ikea. That seems like a win for me. There's actually a few different drawers that you can use for your kitchen cabinets that are from Ikea. So these are the PAX drawers, and the reason I use them is because of the depth of my kitchen cabinets. If my kitchen cabinets were a little bit deeper, I would have used the section cabinets, which are the ones that come with the Ikea kitchen, but the PAX wardrobe drawers fit really well. If you need more details on how to figure out the right type of drawers, I have a whole guide on my blog, which I'll link below. When deciding on the size of the cabinets, the most important thing is really the depth. So I had to use the PAX wardrobes because of the depth of my kitchen cabinets. We're gonna add our drawers into the cupboard now, but before we do, we actually need to add a piece of wood here because drawers need to have slides attached to two sides. One slide will be here and one will be on this side. So obviously I can't attach it to this, so I need to add a piece of wood here, and I'm gonna join it into the cabinet using pocket holes. I want to use the thickest type of wood that I could find so that the drawers would be really secure. So I got 3/4 inch thickness for this wood. Next, I used my Craig Jig Rip Guide to cut this down to size. This is such a handy tool if you have a circular saw. It helps you make straight cuts, and you actually use the edge of your wood as your guide. It has a measuring tape on it. I'll link it below. It's fantastic. And then to secure this into the cabinet, I'm gonna use pocket holes. There's really no other easy way to do this, but the pocket holes are great because they're gonna be really strong. And I added pocket holes to the bottom, the back, and the top of this support wall. And that's how I'm gonna secure it into the shelf. The next step is going to be to add edge banding to this edge. So we want to get a nice edge so that, you know, we have a really finished look on this cabinet. This edge banding is really cool because it covers up any of the ugly edges of plywood, and you just use an iron because the back is heat activated. Okay, so this is the drawer slide for the drawer, and it actually has to sit above this hinge here, but I have to mount it here and I have to make sure it's level as well. And then the door actually just like slides right onto this mechanism. It's a very easy system to use. So I'm gonna install this first. After I used the two spacers underneath, I used a pilot hole and then screwed in the rails. And I wanted to dry fit my drawer to make sure that it fit inside that space and that I would have my support wall in the exact right spot that I needed. So on the Ikea website, it says this distance must be 18 inches, 18 and 3/16 inches. So I'm gonna measure that and I'm gonna mark it here at the front and the back. This is like a perfectly snug fit, so really good on the cutting, and we'll pocket hole it in. So I just want to show you the difference between the screws for the pocket hole and the regular screws. So you see this, it almost looks like there's like a washer attached to it. It has a very wide head. That's what allows it to go into that hole and then stop. Whereas this kind of screw would just go right through. Next, I install the pocket screws on all sides. You'll see as I screw this in, I kind of pause a few times. I'm always a little bit concerned that I might screw this all the way through, but the screw kind of does the work for you. You'll feel the resistance and you'll know to stop. Just pull it and make sure it's gonna be strong enough for the drawer. So like, just pull it. I just want you to like see.
You have to be confident in yourself.
I am confident, but I just need someone to make sure.
I can't pull it out.
I'll just but like side to side. There's a wobble.
No, there's not wobble.
Okay, those pocket holes are good. Now we can add the rail to the other side. If you love this project, subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more cool DIYs. Now that my support wall is attached securely, I can also add the rail for the other side. I'm using the same number of spacers to make sure that it's going to be exactly level so that my drawer goes on straight. I also measure to make sure that the drawer slide is going to sit the same amount back from the front of the cabinet. Now you can install the drawer. Look how cool that is. It actually works perfectly. Now you can install the next drawers. Just make sure you evenly space out every single drawer and you use a level or a spacer to make sure that they're all going to be going on straight. Drop in a comment and let me know if you've tried building drawers because I find it so hard, but this is not. Once both drawer slides are in, you can add the drawer on top. You can't even believe it, right? We did it. I'm actually really glad I used the Ikea drawers. Oh, I think so. Because I don't think I could have made these drawer boxes as good. And the cost wasn't even that different, right? So I used the mechanism that came with the Ikea drawers. I didn't change out the rails or the drawer box. And the great thing is that for $40, it includes the rail and the actual box. And I just attached them exactly as per the instructions. Now, of course, it's a little bit different for the Ikea PAX wardrobe because the holes are already in there. So in this case, I had to figure out the pilot holes and where it goes. But I think that was well worth how easy this was because I didn't have to build the drawers. Do you remember what this cabinet looked like before? Ready to see the reveal? Check this out. I love how this came together. There is no way I could have created such good drawer boxes on my own. Plus, they were more cost effective because these drawers only cost $40. That's much cheaper than getting your own drawer rails and plywood. And now my kitchen is so organized. This slide out pantry drawer is so functional and I love it because it holds all my oils and spices and all my small condiments. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up because this is an awesome kitchen project and you could totally do this even if you're a beginner. To figure out which drawers will be best for your kitchen, make sure to head over to my blog because there's a few different drawers that you can use, so I've explained all the different kinds. I'll see you next week for more budget DIYs.